Hey everyone, what's going on? This is Ash from ME Odyssey, and today I'm going to bring you a video just about my honest opinions about all the trailers that have come out for Mass Effect Andromeda, the gameplay that came out a few weeks ago, and just to really give you kind of an honest opinion if I have any concerns about the game kind of moving forward into N7 Day, and things like that, because I know a lot of you guys have been asking for this kind of thing, and I thought, why not? So we're going to go through trailer by trailer, and then obviously the gameplay stuff at the end, and then just a last section at the end from me about any concerns I may have moving forward into N7 Day and to the release of the game early next year. So I remember back when the announcement trailer came out, and all I can remember is childlike excitement came out that the fact that there was a new Mass Effect game had just been announced, and everyone was just like, oh, Mass Effect, and then you see like Andromeda come up on the screen, and everyone was like, oh, the leak was true. You know, back then that was the one thing that was confirmed from the leak, but obviously now a lot more has been confirmed, and the leak is basically true at this point, but, you know, there you go. The one thing that struck me as well is I remember how early in, ME Odyssey's kind of lifespan that the trailer came out was. We were only like 6 weeks old when that trailer came out, and we had barely any subscribers at that point, and I was going through a rough time because my dad had passed away like 3 days before the trailer came out. So yeah, I was going through a personally rough time, but I decided to focus on certain things to keep me going, which I'm glad I did. And yeah, it was kind of just awesome to have this new thing announced and also have something to help me get through what was personally a bad time. So it was kind of awesome to see a new game announced and something that would one of the many things that helped me through that particular period of my life. I think another thing as well that came up, like after watching it a few 100,000 times, was the fact that I was pretty much cautiously excited. And I use that term cautiously because when a new game is announced for a series that you love so much, it's very easy to get carried away and think, yes, this is going to be the best thing ever, based on 1-2 minute trailer. So I didn't want to get carried away. So I always kind of use the term cautiously optimistic or cautiously excited, because yes, I'm excited for it, but at the same time, I don't really know anything about the game yet. So I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket and then suddenly have them all crack and just dribble all over the place, because that's my hopes and dreams basically gone right there. And my last thought was, I'm kind of glad that the leak was true in kind of choosing Andromeda. I'm glad that they're not continuing the Shepard story, because it's very clear that story is done. BioWare have said that's done, and moving to the Andromeda galaxy, it gives a mass amount of potential and I suppose almost endless possibilities for future games as well, because there's so little we know about the Andromeda galaxy and possible planets and possible life in real life that it's in that galaxy. So this is all coming from developers' minds basically, and obviously some of it in terms of space flight there and time it takes to get there. They all base that on fact, and that's fantastic because they're having a real life element into a game. But nobody truly knows what's in the Andromeda galaxy because it takes a really long time to get there. So it's very much from the imagination, and that's kind of what draws me into this and what makes me excited about this game. So again, while it moves away from the story that we had before, I'm still cautiously excited that moving into a whole brand new blank canvas, we're going to get something pretty awesome come the beginning of next year. Now the N7 Day trailer, so this one was interesting because it was short, it was sweet, but we did get a few details as well. Obviously the first thing you notice is that Jen Hale was voicing FemShep in the trailer, and a lot of people thought, oh, this means that FemShep knew about the expedition to Andromeda and the Arks, but no, it doesn't seem that way. It seems more of a fan service kind of thank you for playing the original trilogy and thank you for being awesome, community, and now it's time to leave that story behind and really look forward to this new, again, and I use the term blank canvas, this blank canvas galaxy that we know basically nothing about, and really look forward to having new adventures with new people and a new crew in this new place. Then there's the bits and pieces you get from the trailer itself. The main ones that were picked up were the dog tags with the rider name on it. That was to be confirmed as the name of the protagonist. Of course, we didn't realise at the time that would move on to a more family-based thing, but we'll come to that later. And then on the other side of the cockpit, you see the family picture, which was the thing we picked up on there as well. It looks like it's a father and two children on the left and the right-hand side of the father. And again, this plays into later developments in the gameplay thing later on. Again, we'll move into that later on. But what's interesting here is they did kind of confirm that there would be a family element and a family story, as well as the overarching big bad boss or big bad evil ancient alien race storyline that is going to kind of intertwine with the family kind of storyline as well. And while I feel like if done right, a family story can be done well, intertwining that with a big grandiose overarching storyline of the big bad, or what the big grand mystery of this particular galaxy and universe is, then sometimes there's either too much focus on one story or not enough focus on the other, or the two kind of mix together, but then it kind of becomes a bit too convoluted. So you have to find that even balance, and that's, in terms of story, the one thing that worries me, which we'll come to at the end, and I'll go into a bit more detail on. And I can't leave the N7-Day trailer without mentioning the arcs. We get to see the arcs for the first time. I thought they were pretty cool. I honestly thought when I first saw this trailer that it did look like essentially the Citadel with many upgrades. So it does look very cool. I do think as well this is going to be like our hub, as it were. So you're going to have one central location where your ship can go out to a planet or a settlement or something like that, but you'll always have this one hub place, which will be the arcs, to go back to, make upgrades to your ship, potentially your armor, and there's going to be like stores you can buy all this stuff from on there. Looking at concept art, which looks like it could be the inside of the arcs, and it looks like there's dwellings, and they've built for living on the arcs as well as making settlements on the planets that we discover as well. So that's going to be fairly interesting to see whether the arcs are going to be hubs. I personally think they will be, but we'll have to wait and see. Moving on to the EA Play E3 trailer. Now, I remember being set up for this with many monitors on my I think my main TV and my two PC monitors and my laptop as well. And I remember this was just after I moved into my flat I'm living in at the moment. And I remember having everything set up, and me and Rima were both on Skype and ready for everything and waiting for the countdown. We saw the trailer, we liked what we saw, but a lot of people were saying that it was kind of underwhelming and it felt like the BioWare were holding something back. And we can kind of understand the point there, because although if you do look hard, you can see like hints of gameplay and stuff like that, which obviously will be confirmed with the actual gameplay later on. But it was still kind of BioWare being a bit too safe with the trailers and things like that. And this being the third trailer they released, they were holding a bit too much back. Maybe they should have released a little bit more, and then it would have been fine, because at that point nobody knew that they were going to be at the PlayStation 4 Pro reveal event, and nobody knew they were going to show gameplay for Mass Effect Andromeda until pretty much like the day before the event happened. So, everyone at the time when the EA Play E3 trailer came out basically thought that was going to be it until N7-Day, and that was going to be a good 3-4 months or so of a wait with nothing between EA Play and N7-Day. So people were right to be kind of maybe concerned there. But to be honest, at this point, while it was kind of feeling like BioWare were holding something back, me and Rima were still happy with what we saw, and while it confirmed a few things, it kind of gave us more questions in our minds as well. So overall, we were still happy, but kind of a feeling of maybe they were holding something back. And finally, moving on to the gameplay, and how can I not mention this, because this only came out a few weeks ago, and myself and Rima, we watched the reveal together over Skype anyway, and we were very excited. We were happy graphically with what we saw on the screen. Of course, things that came out of this were the fact that we got confirmation finally that the family theory is basically confirmed, and a lot of people had theories and their own suggestions on the family theory, us included, and everyone was basically confirmed right. You know, this family theory kind of came out there. It was revealed that the N7 guy is our father, and the fact that the male rider we see in the gameplay and the female rider that we saw way back when, it's, you know, their brother and sister, and this N7 guy is their father, so, you know, family, and it was confirmed that that was the family unit complete, and Mac Walters said on Twitter that the mother would be kind of looked into. Everyone has their story, and we'll get the mother's story as well, but it doesn't seem like she's going to appear in the game, so, yeah, it's a bit disappointing, but I think I can kind of imagine what story they're heading towards with the mother part of it, so will be interesting to see. And honestly, we were both happy with what we saw, and we're kind of excited to see what the entire game looks like. Yes, we've got a long wait until the game releases, but N7 Day isn't that far away now. I think we're looking at roughly, from the time of recording this, we're looking at 8 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that. So not that far away. We're coming towards the end of September now. So yeah, not that far away. I'd say about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that. So not that far to go now. This time seems to fly by when you want something to come really quickly. So N7 Day is on its way for sure, and it's not going to be long before it's suddenly here, and we've got a lot more news and other things to digest. But in terms of the gameplay, we were both really happy with what we saw. And even just yesterday morning, Rima texted me, and I'm assuming this was before she went to work because it was like 8:25 in the morning. But she texted me at sort of nearly 8:30 yesterday morning while I was still in bed and said that Mac Walters has been teasing on Twitter again. I had a look on my phone. Funnily enough, yes, he has. He's been all over, well, not all over Twitter, but he said in response to a question that would there be any more news before N7 Day, and he went, oh, maybe a few tidbits here and there, and I was just like, oh, come on. If you say N7 Day, stick to N7 Day. But, you know, it's going to be exciting to see what that is. I don't think it'll be anything too massive between now and N7 Day, seeing as it's only about 6-7 weeks away, but we'll wait and see. Finally, moving on to concerns, I only have the one main concern. It's story-based, like I mentioned earlier. And I'm not going to speak for Rima on this one. Maybe Rima will record her own thing in the future, I don't know. But this is purely my own kind of only concern. And it's the story. And while BioWare have a history of making really great stories and, you know, producing them and visually building them in front of us really well, they have a good history of that. I always worry about history and story and lore for games that, you know, they've already had a well-established, very good story in the past. The original Mass Effect trilogy, the original Halo trilogy, both stories I like very much and they built their own lore, but when they move into games outside that original kind of thing, then it's kind of making up technically its own new lore and its new history, and you kind of have to find it believable. And to find one trilogy, or two in this case, between the two examples, Halo and Mass Effect, to find two trilogies believable story, and then like going out into outer games, Halo's heading towards its main story of Halo 6 now, which is just insane to me. Halo 4 was good, Halo 5 story was and I don't know, I've not even looked into Halo 6 at the moment, so, you know, but Mass Effect Andromeda, there's always the worry there that leaving the stability of the storyline in Mass Effect 1, 2 and 3, that they're going to have a big risk of, you know, losing a lot of the community by botching the story or something like that. I honestly don't think they will. Having the rich history of BioWare with other games, not just Mass Effect, but Star Wars and other such games as well, they've got tried and true storytelling pedigree, so I shouldn't be worried, but it's always a worry I'm going to have going into any game that I'm going to sink 70 to 100 hours into a game. I don't want to be disappointed, and I don't want it to feel like it's completely for nothing at the end of the game, especially when this is a game that's being touted as the beginning of a new trilogy. So if they're going to set this universe, set all this lore and story up at the beginning, they need to do it right off the bat. So that's my hope, that they're going to do that right. And it's also still always going to be a small concern in the back of my mind until I get to play the game myself. And that's about all for the moment, and I'm really sorry that's kind of unscripted and a bit confused and confuddled, but I just wanted to kind of get it off my mind and while I've got a lot of things on my mind at the moment, this included, and I had an opportunity, and I've got an afternoon and an evening where I'm not really doing anything, so I thought, why not? Just sit down, talk into the microphone, see what comes out. So hopefully you enjoyed. Let us know if you want this kind of thing in the future, kind of this like honest opinion kind of thing. And yeah, that's kind of it really. So thank you very much for listening and for watching. As always, you can subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all things Mass Effect, and you can help the channel to grow by sharing the video too. From my hotel room here in Dundee in Scotland, thank you very much, and I'll see you again very soon.